Hello, teams, and welcome back for another preview mission for URC 2024. We're getting really excited for another great competition again this year. For this video, we are going to be doing a bit of a preview for the delivery mission. This is always the action-packed mission that takes place at MDRS, right behind the habitat. There's always lots of excitement in store there. It was certainly one of the make or break missions in 2023. We've got some exciting changes for 2024. So I'm going to welcome to the stage Kurt, one of our longtime judges and the mastermind behind the delivery mission map. Kurt, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here.
All right. So a little bit of a change up for this year. We have a few new exciting twists for teams. So we're gonna pull up here. I'm gonna try to make my way over, and we're gonna pull up some of the material that's online. Hopefully, teams have had a chance to take a look at this already. But of course, if you go to our website, urc.marssociety.org, underneath requirements and guidelines, you can find the delivery mission course. It takes you here. And we have some of the background information about the course, and then of course we get into the famous map with the challenge for this year. So with that introduction, Kurt, do you want to walk us through what teams will be doing?
Yes. So we took some lessons from last year, and I think that many would say that there was some room for improvement. And we restructured the course quite a bit, and we're trying to bring in a mixture of delivery challenges and rover work, geology and science, allowing an option for a UAV at this time, and provide for some opportunities for strategy. So we have our usual dual start where you can either be in the science dome or in the hab, and a simple navigation course. Then we come out to a sample area. For those that remember last year, there was great difficulty in finding our geological samples, and this time we made it a lot simpler. We're going to have 4 or 5 rock samples in a very small confined area. We'll tell you which one to look at it. Your geologist will point you to the right one, pick it up, and then there'll be a sample cache, as if you're finding, just as Perseverance is doing on Mars right now, putting a sample into the rover. And this sample cache didn't quite make it to the course last year, but it's a simple white box. It's got a opening on it. It's sort of a bit like the servicing mission in that you have to open up a lever to open up the cover and then put the rock in and close it. So it provides a neat mixture of geology work and rover work, but it is not meant to be a rock hunt. So then when you go from that, then there's this rock box. That's a simple box that has a simple rock in it. And there's also an object, a nice bright colored object that is near our famous rock garden. And the idea is to bring both of them to the science box. And this is where teams get to do some thinking. Do you do them one at a time and go back? Do you do them together? Do you skip one and do the other that you think you can do better, and so forth? And let the teams do some strategy as well as some tactics. So after delivering that, if you get cleared to stage 2, then there is, in this case, a wreckage area. We'll have some pieces of wreckage for you to go and find. Some will be big, some will be little. The big ones will be lower points. The little ones will be higher points. Gather them up and bring them to the astronaut over here. You got to clean up this mess. And you can bring them over, again, with some strategy. Do you bring them over one at a time? Do you load them up on your rover and bring them over all at once? There will be a cart there. Do you try to use the cart and use that to bring it over? Or, which might make it easier to bring them all at once, but it takes some time to put the rover together, put the cart, put the rocks or the objects on the cart and bring them over. So there's a bit of strategy involved. The last part is that there's a choice in that you can go deep into one of the valleys here that we will have another piece of wreckage. It'll be easy to find. It will be visually very easy to detect, but it'll be so deep in the valley that we are concerned about your rovers getting comm loss. So maybe you have a technique for that. Maybe you're going to take your chances, or maybe you just rather launch your UAV and go and read a number that'll be way up on the ridges here and get the final points that way. So there'll be a pretty open structure in stage 2. You can try them in a variety of different orders, but you cannot get points for both the deeply hidden piece of wreckage and for the number way up on the site. And this will be way beyond the ability of a rover to go up to. You'll have to use a UAV for that if you choose to do that. So that's the course in a nutshell. It's basically designed to be something that mixes science and rover capability and gripping capability, but also some strategy and some decision making.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see the amount of kind of gameplay and the strategic aspects that you've been able to put into the course for this year. One of the things that it's definitely worth highlighting to teams with the option for that final task of 6A or 6B, teams can actually attempt both, and then you actually just get the
Yes.
score of the one that you get the most points in. So if you want to
Yes.
give them both a try and you do better in one, those are the points you end up with. So certainly, it just comes down to how much time is available and if you have the right resources available to attempt those. Now with 6B, we specify the drone use there. It's up on a ridge that for any of our longtime competitors that have been around for a while, you may remember, or maybe it's even just hearing stories or seeing videos of rovers climbing up some of these ridges in the past. For 6B, we are not allowing any rovers to climb up the ridges to read the numbered tag up there. That can only be accomplished with the drone. So it only applies to teams that are bringing a drone, which it's about 1/3 of the teams we know are coming out with a drone this year. So we're excited to see how they perform.
Yes. Yes. The idea is that there is strategy, there is tactics. There's a variety of ways of different doing to it. We try to make it less structured and fewer choke points, such as we had last year. So we really are excited to see people come and compete and do their best. So,
Yeah, and yeah, the different ways that you can, whether it's in stage one, different ways that you can stack your points to make sure that you hit that 40-point threshold to advance into stage two. Task 5 is another example where there's lots of different ways that you can accumulate points to get the maximum possible points as you pick up individual objects in that wreckage area there. So that'll be another unique twist on things.
yep.
You mentioned last year. Last year, it was and I don't know, there were a lot of emotions with how last year's course played out. I know that it was exceptionally difficult. A lot of teams struggled. There was maybe some frustration with it. I really saw it as a tremendous learning opportunity. Both, watching how the teams were tackling the challenge, and it taught us a lot as well about areas that we have or haven't focused on from the URC perspective. And it certainly highlighted on a very interesting distinction between the video that's fed to a driver for the purposes of navigating a rover, but the discrete difference between video for a driver and imaging to accomplish a specific task, whether it be a scientific task or even in the case of last year where they were looking for a distinct rock. There was really, it needed much more of an imaging aspect where there's an importance to understand the angle that you're taking your image from with respect to the sun angle and how that casts shadows over the field and how you might get good contrast on things that you're looking for, and really just a different way of approaching the visual side of things compared to video for driving, which has its own unique requirements. And certainly, a video versus a still photo gives you a lot of different features that each has their own purpose. Um,
I'd add that the we saw many teams actually drive over the rock that they were looking for last year,
yeah,
and there's a big difference between teams that search systematically and those that just drove around trying to be lucky. And I would urge the teams to think this course through, think how they would systematically approach it, and be thorough, be systematic, and be strategic.
that is really great advice, and I certainly hope teams do take a little bit of time to think through how they're strategically going to go about accomplishing some of these. So now, certainly there's a wide variety of terrain available out at the HAB site where the delivery mission takes place. How aggressive of terrain should teams be prepared for? Are we going to send any rovers launching off cliffs?
No, this for those who've been there before. This area down here is relatively flat. There are some rocks. There's some rough rocks here, but you can avoid them. There's a bit of a ditch around here. It's a matter of choice again, strategic choice. Do you go over a cliff to save time? Do you drive around it? There are some areas that have better comms than others. You don't necessarily need any particularly rough terrain. It's not a parking lot, but it is not. Designed to destroy your rover either. The challenges are in time, in strategy, and in the manipulation of your rover arm in combination with movement, rather than in going over extremely rugged terrain.
Yeah, it's a great overview of what teams can expect, and we'll come back over to what's on the website, and certainly encourage teams review not just the map, but if you scroll further down the page, we get into a lot of the detailed course rules. Take time, especially those members of your team that you know are going to be inside the control station and are going to be responsible for making a lot of the decisions when you're on the clock and there's a lot of pressure. So take the time to really make sure you understand all of these rules now, understand exactly how the scoring is going to take place. We give a lot of very clear directions in here about situations in which you are allowed to let an object touch the ground after you pick it up, or you are not allowed to. So it may vary based on which specific task you are trying to complete across the mission. So pay careful attention to all that. And then a bit further down as well, we have some communication protocol. So communication is always important at any of the mission sites. We've noticed it really have being exceptionally important how communications occur on the delivery mission. So we do have some examples in here about how to communicate with judges, what the radio traffic will be between judges, both the judges that are sitting inside with the operating team, as well as the judges that are outside following the rover and measuring performance out in the field. Um,
I'd also like to add that since we're allowing UAVs for the first time this year, there are some specific radio protocols for launching a UAV, just to let the outside team know
yes.
that the UAV is going to launch, where is it going to go, and who your safety person is, and how they're controlling it. Are they simply someone who will give a verbal warning, or are they someone that will actually take control over? And when that happens, and what are the consequences for the judging, as well as the safety? Number one thing, of course, is the safety of everyone out there, and so we want to make sure that everyone is aware what is happening.
Yep. Yeah, and it's important to go through the exact protocol in here because every time the drone takes off, you are required to get authorization from the judges. So you indicate that you're ready to launch your drone. The judges outside will coordinate with the spotter on your team to make sure everything is safe, that the spotter is ready. Then the judges will radio back to authorize launch. And until you get that authorization, you're not allowed to take off.
I would also point out that the UAV is mostly of use in stage two. It's of, we understand that not everybody has one, and so we wanted to make something where there was an option, try to see what it looks like, but not require it. And so stage one is one where a UAV might be nice, might get you some great video, but it's probably not going to help you on the course that much. Stage two, it could be quite interesting to have one.
Yep, indeed. Yeah, and the final thing here, we'll just point out quickly that there's also some additional advice down at the bottom. So take time, make sure you read everything on this page. Go back through the rules document. Go back through the Q&A that's posted as well. Those are all extremely helpful, not just for the delivery mission, but across all of the URC missions to make sure you've really refresh yourselves on everything that's in there. Um, and the more you go through all those, certainly nobody ever regrets having gone through the rules and Q&A one
Yeah.
extra time.
Yeah. And I'd say one thing I'd like to say to the new teams that have never been to the URC before is that this is a very remote and very rugged course. This is not your parking lot. This is not a local field, and it is going to be a very challenging course to navigate through. We've seen people try to navigate visually without GPS or GNSS coordinates, and it just doesn't work. You cannot find your way around. Make sure that your rover's in decent working shape. Make sure you can navigate over large areas. This area is several hundred meters on a side. There are elevations of tens of meters of these ridges. It is a large and rugged terrain that is probably something that outside of the URC is pretty unprecedented. So best of luck. Read the rules carefully, and see you in Hanksville.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks for joining us tonight, Kurt. And for all the teams that are traveling, wish you safe travels, and we look forward to seeing you all out in Utah very shortly. Take care, everyone.